Hello, everyone. So, today I wanted to talk about you've done all the studying about human design, about the gene keys. You've learned all the information. You've been consuming all of the everything that's out there, that's written, other people's experiences and thoughts about it. And now you're kind of going, now what? Now what do I do? So I really wanted to address this on many different levels because our minds, as you know from human design, are not here to make decisions. Our minds are here to gather information and understand concepts and also be a vessel and a communication portal with the divine. And the where we as human beings run into the difficulty around this is that we can get stuck in our mind. And this is because of the conditioning that has been around for a long, long time in our world, that the mind is more important than the body, than the emotions, and our energetic systems. And this is all shifting and changing, especially in the psychology realm, where we're now seeing more and more hit the mainstream about the importance of supporting the nervous system, as well as people bringing into psychology practices, EFT, so tapping, which taps on the different meridian lines, as well as using what do they call that again? In AEDP, they call it portrayals. Portrayals to me are kind of like journeys. You drop into your heart and you get out of your cognitive brain and into the intuitive sense. And so because our mainstream world has started finding proof that this stuff works and that the body is super important and that our emotions are very important and that our energetic systems are real, they're not just some esoteric ancient belief anymore, it's coming more into the mainstream. And the mind is still valued more, right? And this makes sense too, because in the human design chart we see there is the logic circuit and the intuitive circuit. So some people are designed to be more logical, some people are designed to be more intuitive, and we have all of the charts. Every single person has the potential to hold all of these different archetypes, and these archetypes are very important to us. So that was really loud. Sorry if that was loud. So once we've started gathering all of this information, once we start recognizing that we have these shadows, once we start recognizing our limiting beliefs and our suspicions about ourselves, once we start realizing what isn't working in our lives, this is when action becomes necessary, because it's through action that we recondition our bodies and our minds. Simply thinking about something, while it is super valuable, Joe Dispenza talks about this, that you can heal your body with just the thoughts of your mind, that takes a big concerted effort. And truth be told, most people watching this are out engaging with life constantly. So when we want to change something, we need to get the mind, the emotional, the nervous system, and the energetic bodies to sync up, to join together. And this is where I often bring up in my gene key videos the nervous system, because the nervous system is designed to keep you safe. It is meant to move in and out of what is known as the ventral, dorsal, and sympathetic states. And these states are what we can refer to as the fight, flight, freeze response. This has a very important function of keeping your body safe from anything that could cause you immediate harm, like when we were hunter-gatherers. There are two branches of the nervous system. The more ancient branch that is related and linked to the reptiles, and then the more recent branch, which is a mammalian, that linked to us being mammals, and all mammals have this other branch, which is known as the ventral vagus nerve. The mammalian branch, the ventral vagus nerve, looks at connection as a means of safety, because we are, as human beings, we rely on connection with our parents for the longest amount of time out of any mammals. And connection to a baby's nervous system means survival. If a baby's nervous system doesn't feel that connection between whoever is taking care of them, that means to their nervous system that they might die. And so because of this, that mammalian branch of the nervous system will look to create connection as a means of safety. And what happens when that mammalian side of the nervous system looks to create connection as a means of safety is that it will dismiss the authentic parts of who you are. And it does this because at that stage of the game in our growth, connection comes before authenticity, because that connection means life or death for the physical body. And so when we put on behaviors to maintain connection, sometimes these are known as masks, to maintain connection, where we dismiss vital aspects of ourselves, the nervous system remembers this and wires in a way that this is how we're going to act. So, for example, if you identify with that term people pleaser, you would have learned how to be a people pleaser in your childhood, because that is what maintained the connection with your parents. And it becomes this default response, and that's what the nervous system does to feel safe. Pause for a second. I just gave you a ton of info. So this means that sometimes as we're learning this new stuff, like from the gene keys, like from human design, of who we are authentically meant to be, and it's like a remembering that happens, the old default response of the nervous system to maintain connection is going to override the new experience that you're seeking. And the nervous system will remember lots of different experiences based on how it was attuned, meaning synced up to your parents as a child. And that attunement will determine how you currently respond to things throughout life until you start to change it, until you start to nurture your nervous system. So in psychology and nervous system teachings, there's this term that is used called titration. We all have a capacity in us for experience. And if your capacity for some kind of experience is this much, if you go beyond that experience, like let's say you don't like speaking in front of crowds, in front of people. This used to happen for me as a kid. And I would get red, and then I would get even more red, and then I would shut down. That was because my nervous system was wired to just have one person listen to me at once. And when I would have to do class projects that would push me out of my comfort zone, and I would dissociate or get overwhelmed in my nervous system. So what titration does is it creates a gentle practice of pushing the boundaries of what's comfortable while remaining present and grounded in your body. And this is incredibly important for any type of shift that you are trying to make in your life or you desire to make. To practice gentleness in titration while also pushing the boundaries of what you currently know. Let's use an example. So the archetype of gate or Gene Key 8, which is the shadow of mediocrity and the gift of style and the city of exquisiteness. It's also known as the gate of fulfillment or contribution. On the shadow side of this, there's a fear of being different. There's a fear of being yourself. And there's a disconnection from self. And we do that by keeping ourselves small, by putting ourselves into boxes, by disconnecting from our dreams. It's almost like this internal collapse. If you've experienced as a child messaging, and this can be overt, meaning very obvious messaging, or covert, meaning things that weren't quite said, but they were assumed or they kind of like filtered in the air. So if you experience messaging that communicated that you can't be different and it's vital that you fit in, either directly from your parents or indirectly from your ancestors, your nervous system will be conditioned to keep yourself small. And it will be conditioned to collapse. It will be conditioned to disconnect from your dreams and being uniquely you, because that was the messaging that it received and probably had experiences of that. And so it will feel challenging for you to step out of the shadow of mediocrity and embrace the gift of style and embrace being relentlessly yourself, because your nervous system is default is to stay small. And when you start to step out, it will interpret that as danger. This is an incredibly important part to understand about human design and the gene keys. Human design talks extensively about how the body is the vehicle and the body is here to make the choices and the decisions by whatever your authority is. When we think of ourselves as human beings who are undergoing this evolutionary process is bringing the body with us. We aren't disconnecting from the body. We have been disembodied as a culture for a very long time. And so this is where we need to bring in the nervous system practices, which link very closely with energetic practices. If you look at ancient yogic teachings, traditional Chinese medicine, it all works with the nervous system and the different energetic bodies together, right? It's just in our Western world where we spent so much time separating everything, whereas everything is an integral system that works together. And this is where we want to build safety and resourcefulness, or to feel resourced in your nervous system. If your body doesn't feel safe while you are making changes, if your nervous system doesn't go, oh, okay, maybe I'm safe right now while we're doing this thing that is out of our comfort zone, your default is probably going to be, or you are going to get triggered into a dissociation or a collapse where you contract. Your nervous system, this is how I like to think of the nervous system. Your nervous system is like a child that thrives on consistent and deliberate attention. Whether you are feeling happy, sad, angry, overwhelmed, peaceful. Your nervous system needs that continuous connection and communication. Your nervous system does not communicate with thoughts. Your nervous system can respond to thoughts, especially negative thoughts, because the mind is that powerful. And it takes a tremendous amount of effort to try to talk yourself or your nervous system out of a fight or flight or freeze response. Your nervous system communicates best and can be reminded that it's safe when it's in a fight, flight, freeze response or fawning response through the senses. So this means through touch, physical touch, sound, stimulation to your vocal cords, your eyes, and probably taste to some level, although I'm not sure how. And so in order to build your capacity, in order to titrate as you make these changes, as you practice moving from the shadow expression of these archetypes to the gift, you want to develop an intentional practice where you develop an intimacy with your physical body and your nervous system. This can be much more simple than our minds want it to be. So one of the most important thing is to recognize, so you tell your mind you are doing this practice. This is a practice to support my nervous system. And then the mind kind of gets on board with what you're doing. It doesn't argue it as much. Working with your nervous system, these are some of the ways that I like to do it, is putting on some music that you find that you like without any lyrics, and allow your body to spend 10, 15 minutes moving to that. You can also use your breath by taking deliberate belly breaths right into your stomach. You can also use alternate nostril breathing. There's lots of videos about that out there. You can put your hand on your heart, close your eyes, and imagine your breath going into your heart and expanding your heart. When you do that, it creates resonance between your brain waves and your heart waves. The heart calms the mind down. You can go and lie on the earth or stand on the earth, swim in the ocean or a river or a lake, or just simply be in nature. All of these things have a nurturing component to the nervous system. And cultivating a regular practice around this is essential to creating safety in your body, so that you can create the changes that might feel risky. Because once you begin to do something regularly, your body is going to get on board with it much more quickly. So for example, if I have a regular practice of putting my hand on my heart and breathing, no matter whether I'm feeling great or crappy, whenever I put my hand on my heart and breathe, my body will automatically calm down. It might not calm down to one of total peace, but it will calm down. And that is because you've created that consistency and trust through your senses with your body. Meditations and visualizations that feel supportive to you are also very helpful. I've created a meditation on my website that I'll link below that you can download for free around energetic boundaries, where you can support your physical body through your energy. It's a very powerful and focused meditation visualization. I am also offering in July a online movement class called Embody Your Design that I will link below as well, that you can join if you would like to. Another way is that once you start developing this intimate relationship with your nervous system is to start cultivating deliberate steps to show up more authentically in your life. Now this will, if you follow human design, this will be guided by your strategy and authority. So you take these steps by first resourcing yourself. We want to make sure your nervous system is resourced. This world is constantly knocking our nervous system out of a resourced state simply by the way that it is, by all notifications and sounds and alarms and all of that. Resource yourself first. Begin noticing your strategy and authority in your body. How does it feel to have a sacral response? How does it sound? How does it feel for your spleen to communicate? How do you feel when you have someone to soundboard with and just hear you? Find a friend you trust. Someone you trust, whether it's a friend or a coach or a therapist, who you can begin communicating with more authentically. Because even if it's someone like a coach or a therapist, your nervous system is getting that new experience of being authentic while in relationship, being yourself while engaging with another person's nervous system. And then third, allow yourself to express yourself on your own. Allow yourself to be authentic while you're on your own and consciously acknowledge that. Pat yourself on the back. Feel proud of yourself as you take these new steps. About 8 years ago, I never would have dreamed of doing videos like this. I never thought it was possible. About a year ago, filming something like this was terrifying to me. Well, maybe not terrifying, maybe being a little dramatic there. It was highly uncomfortable. My voice, most of my life, was shut down. I had blocked it off. I had a tiny little voice. With the 4323, who is here to communicate in my son, my conscious sun and earth, here to communicate, I had to resource my nervous system in order to feel safe using my voice, even if people don't understand me. It still feels challenging sometimes. And my nervous system has developed a sense of safety with me, myself, knowing that I am going to take care of me. I show up every day for my nervous system, for my energetic body. And I remind it regularly that we are safe, even if it feels like the shit's hitting the fan. So you're invited to give this a try. Sometimes our minds get a little annoyed that it's not more complicated. And at the same time, it takes regular practice, consistent practice to show up for yourself. Practice can be 5 minutes a day. A practice is more beneficial if you do it every day for 5 minutes versus doing it for an hour once a week. Because remember what I said about the nervous system being like a child? A child doesn't recognize 1 hour a week. A child recognizes consistent showing up and touch points with it. I hope that was supportive for you. I'm going to drop a few different links for resources below. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.